Hi, my name is Bridget Fordham, and thank you for joining me today as I go through a few course changes that I've made to the course that I've developed named Historical Developments of Europe. So, the first thing that I fixed, based on a suggestion from Dr. Wilcox, is I removed the announcements from site for the students and instead added recent announcements to the top of my homepage. So not only did I add these announcements to my homepage, originally the announcement page was my homepage. So I also changed my homepage to demonstrate the different modules that are in our courses, which is a lot easier of a setup to utilize. And honestly, it just looks way better than it did while still allowing students to see messages, thoughts, reminders, etc. that I have posted for them. As you can see, I've done a few discussion post reminders. I've taken the time to remind them about their project, etc. So apart from that, I did also make a few changes to my syllabus, which I did edit within my downloadable syllabus, and I created those updates there as well. For the most part, I was really happy with my syllabus, but based on a few requests from Courtney McGee and Lindsay Bates, which is my expert reviewer, I did add a few technology requisite skills into my syllabus, just so students can know what exactly they're going to need to know how to do using technology in order to do well in this course. I also added a late work policy. This late work policy was a request from Lindsay Bates, my expert reviewer, as well as Courtney McGee, my peer reviewer. And also based on requests from the two of them, I added a few statements next to my rubrics so that these tables are a little easier to understand. So within each module, I did a lot of little changes that made a lot of big differences. So one of those changes is I did add a course overview that also is a Canvas overview. So just a little bit of an introduction into our course and an introduction into Canvas, just welcoming students to Canvas and providing a video opportunity for them to get to know Canvas a little bit better if they've never used it. And I do know that'll come in really handy for a lot of students, because one of the pieces of feedback that I got from my students was that it took them too long to understand how Canvas works. So I did add that. And within each of my modules, I edited my module overviews to add images just to spice them up a little bit, make them look nice. There's also these module checklists that students can click on that will also allow them to literally go through and check off assignments as they complete them. And that's just something that some students, that's a good motivator for them to complete assignments, is to be able to check them off. So I added that in there. I did edit each of my module overviews just to add a few images and to clean them up a bit. I'm going to briefly show you all of these. That's Module 3. Module 4's overview with a couple of images there. And please note that I did also give credit. I used Pixabay for my images, but I did want to cite those and just give credit where credit was due. Module 5 overview. And again, that checklist where students can go in and actually check off what they've completed, I did add that into each overview. just as a little bonus for them. So another thing that I did to kind of clean up my page, based on a few suggestions from Dr. Wilcox, I went in and a lot of external links that I had for us, especially the lessons that are on Nearpod, as well as the quizzes and Quizlet optional assignments. I went in and instead of having them externally linked directly to the website, I added pages that would allow students to kind of understand how those work a little bit better. And I will demonstrate that in just a moment. But first, I'd like to show you my technology tools that are within Module 1. So the technology tools page is really good if you've never used Canva. Added a few videos, what we're using it for. Same thing for Nearpod, what are we using it for? Explaining that those Nearpod lessons are required. Giving the links to all of those lessons in one space, even though they are individually listed throughout the course. Showing them how to make accounts, how to access Nearpod, and then a video tutorial in case they need help. Same thing with quizzes. As I stated, I showed that it's an optional assignment, but I do indicate that it can be super helpful for students to complete these assignments, and I offered all of the links in one place, how to access, how to create an account, and videos to help. And the same thing with the Quizlet flashcard practice. That too is an optional assignment, but I wanted to scaffold for my students who maybe need a little bit more prep time before they're ready to take a quiz. And so I just gave that information, linked all of those flashcards, and then showed them again how to access and create their own account with a video tutorial if needed. And all of that can be found within Module 1 under Technology Tools. I do have these also broken down into individual pages within each module. My netiquette page, I turned it into a page. Originally, I had it listed as an assignment. I thought it would be a really good way to have students immediately engage and just have an easy checked off assignment. Upon further review and suggestion from Dr. Wilcox, I did change this into a page, and I embedded my video, which originally it was an external link, and I wanted it to be easier to access. So I did embed that. I did not change any of my discussions. I'm really happy with my discussion posts. My students did an awesome job on those. One suggestion that I did receive from Ms. Courtney McGee was to possibly add sentence starters for students. My students did incredible with those discussion posts, but I definitely will keep that advice in mind for the future, because I do think that having sentence starters is a great way to help students and to scaffold your work a little bit better for students. I also added this Q&A discussion post. I put it at the end of every module. And the reason I did this is so that students who have questions as we go, they're able to just answer those, ask those questions instead of having to email me. And, multiple students have the same question oftentimes. So just being able to go into that and post saying, hey, Coach Fordham, I'm not really sure what this means or how to do this. Can you help me? And giving me an opportunity to respond via a forum was just a really good opportunity for me to fix that up, and just a good way for students to have a little bit of extra help. And then, as I stated, all of my Nearpods are now linked with access info, as well as each individual Nearpod's lesson link, and just a little bit of information about why they're doing it. I want them to understand what it is they're doing and why they're doing it. And as you can see, I did this with all the Quizlet practices, and I also went through and did it with all of the flashcard practices as well. Just gave a little bit of extra information to help students out. Gave them a couple of tips and tricks to use that'll help them. They can also find that when they work on their Canva timeline project, I gave descriptions there, but when students need that additional help, Canva also is located in my technology tools, so they're able to use that to help them get a little bit of better understanding for Canva. Because out of all of my feedback, that was probably the most important piece of feedback that I had, was that the project was difficult for students who had never used Canva before. And even though it ended up being easy for them, they said that it was a source of frustration until they learned how to use Canva. So I wanted to add that so that students would understand how to use it. And then a suggestion from Courtney McGee, my peer reviewer. She did suggest adding an end of course survey. I actually had this survey here the whole time, and I didn't have it visible to students. So I did add it to my last module, and I just asked questions that would give me a little bit of insight of what students needed. I feel that this course helped me to learn the content that was presented. Students can tell me if they agreed, strongly agreed, disagreed, etc. Students had an opportunity to tell me if they thought I did a good job communicating my expectations throughout the course, which I think my edits to this has really helped that. I gave my best effort and worked hard for this course. I feel that this course helped prepare me for future online classes, and I am interested in completing another online course in the future. And my last question just gives students an opportunity to give suggestions, which they definitely did, and I loved that. Many of them told me that videos would be helpful. Many of them had told me more images would be nice. And so I did want to add all of that to help my students just better access my course. I had a really good time making this course. It was something that was difficult for me and took me out of my comfort zone, but I really enjoyed doing the work, and I'm really quite proud of where this course has come from the beginning to the end. So I thank you very much for the opportunity to just be able to develop my skills creating a course, and I look forward to learning more. Thank you so much.